Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I can't believe I'm going to do this to myself, but I'm going to go through the entire 55 minutes of Netanyahu's speech, which I guess is apparently mostly standing ovations. You know, people are expressing shock and disgust about all the standing ovations. I don't know why you would be shocked, and I don't know why you would pretend to be disgusted. You've been giving him billions of dollars for the last 9 months. You've been giving him billions of dollars in weapons to do exactly what he's doing. That doesn't shock and disgust you. Of course they're gonna applaud him and give him standing ovations. You think there's any sign of their disapproval of what he's doing? They've been giving him a standing ovation for 9 months. There's a lot of ads in this, by the way. Interestingly, I can't go through this without hitting a bunch of ads for video games. I know that these are targeted ads. You know what I mean? So the type of people who are watching this are the type of people who play video games. That's the audience, the Netanyahu's audience, video game players, silly video games. Okay, here we go. Oh, sorry. I guess also it's about half of the actual Congress is here.
Right.
It's packed, standing room only. But it's only about half of the actual members are there, right? They
designated.
Actual Congress people. The rest of them, it's like fillers.
I'm wondering if I'm in a concert now.
Mike Johnson, Senator Ben Cardin.
You know, it's so stupid. He always wears this blue tie, and it's just because it's the colors of the Israeli flag. He always wears the same outfit. He always wears the white shirt and the blue tie. You know, like in America, it's like the red tie is for the Republicans and the blue tie is for the Democrats. But for him, he's always got this. Like he embodies. You know, he's the embodiment of the Israeli flag is his body.
We meet today at a crossroads of history. Our world is in upheaval. In the Middle East, Iran's axis of terror confronts America, Israel, and our Arab friends.
Okay, wait a second. Iran. He starts with Iran. That Iran is confronting, and who does he begin with? America. How is Iran confronting America? How exactly? And our Arab friends. Who? What Arab friends is Iran attacking at the moment? Confronting. There's rapprochement between Iran and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
There's nothing but actually good relations between UAE and Iran, actually, in terms of trade and so forth. So who?
Projection.
This is not a clash of civilizations. It's a clash between barbarism and civilization.
Well, that's true. You're just not on the side of that equation that you think you are.
It's a clash between those who glorify death and those who sanctify life.
Also true. Also true. And also you're on the wrong side of that equation.
For the forces of civilization to triumph, America and Israel must stand together.
There's the first standing ovation. America and Israel must stand together for the forces of civilization to triumph. Well, there's some truth in that, actually. If we understand, obviously he doesn't mean it like this, but if you understand it correctly, in that America and Israel are on the side of barbarism, you both have to go down together. You're tied together. So the forces of civilization will triumph with America and Israel standing together, because, like I said before, every missile that they launch into Gaza lands in America. You're tied at the hip. You're joined at the hip, and you're both going to go down together.
Because when we stand together, something very simple happens. We win, they lose.
Let's believe it.
And they stand again. That was just seconds ago.
And my friends, I came to assure you today of one thing. We will win.
Of course. Stand up.
I wonder if his speech
And they stand up.
Yeah,
And of
true.
course they stand up.
if his speech is a signal, you know.
I mean that just that line is a signal. I mean the mediocrity of the speech already is mind numbing. We will win. That's just an applause sign.
3,000 Hamas terrorists stormed into Israel. They butchered 1,200 people from 41 countries, including...
Oh, 1,200 people from 41 countries.
What were they doing there?
Question.
He just said that they're not indigenous people. He just said
He
it.
just announced it to the world.
Yeah, he just said 41 countries, 41 different countries occupying Palestinian land and having a party. And they're supposed to be fine with that. That's heaven. He just said that that's heaven. 1,200 people from 41 countries. I mean, does anyone catch that? That those are foreigners? That those are not indigenous people? Those are people who are not from there? You didn't have to go.
They have a home.
You know what? You know how you would have not died on October 7th if you'd stayed home in your country. Plus, of course, he's not going to mention the fact that a significant number of the people who were killed, your own people killed them.
Yeah.
So they would have even been safer from you if they hadn't gone to Israel.
And these monsters, they raped women,
No, they didn't.
they beheaded men,
No, they didn't.
they burnt babies alive.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
They killed parents in front of their children,
No, they didn't.
and children in front of their parents.
And no, they didn't.
They dragged 255 people, both living and dead, into the dark dungeons of Gaza.
And why is Gaza a dark dungeon?
Yeah. I wonder why.
So it's heaven on your side of the fence,
Yeah.
where people from 41 different countries can come and have a party. On the other side of the fence, on the other side of the wall, it's a dark dungeon. And those people who are living every day of their life in the dark dungeon are just supposed to bear it and just supposed to suffer and endure and never try to do anything about it. That's heaven.
Israel has already brought home 135 of these hostages, including 7 who were freed in daring rescue operations.
135,
Yeah.
7 were from a hostage rescue operation. So,
those were released.
128 were released by Hamas. So maybe you should consider negotiations. It seems to work a lot better than your so-called rescue operations. There's another standing ovation
Yeah.
for that. This is the stupid thing. They're actually, for sure, they're standing up now to applaud the so-called rescue operation that got 7 people free, but they're not applauding that you were successful in getting 127 people released by these monsters who actually just negotiated with you and made a deal and let them go. You're not applauding for that. You're not applauding for diplomacy and negotiation.
No, you're applauding for aggression and violence.
Unsuccessful. You're applauding the unsuccessful strategy of hostage release.
2 months ago, I authorized a breathtaking commando rescue operation. Our special forces, including a heroic officer named Arnon Zmora, who fell in this battle, rescued Noah and 3 other hostages.
Another standing ovation. And how many times would she have been freed if you had agreed to the ceasefire deal that the U.S. Vetoed and that you rejected and that Hamas has consistently agreed to? Ceasefire deals that included hostage release, a full plan for the release of hostages. None of this would have been necessary.
Is the grandfather of those 2 beautiful red-headed boys, the Bibas boys, toddlers. And they were taken hostage with their mother and and Eliyahu's son. The entire family was taken hostage. 2 beautiful red-haired children taken hostage.
Isn't that relatable? White people, red-haired children.
And with us also is Iris Chaim, whose son Yotam bravely escaped Hamas captivity with 2 other Israelis, and tragically they were killed, making their way back to our lives. We have with us also the families of American hostages.
Were those killed by the IDF by any chance? As usually happens when we've seen those stories of the hostages, so-called hostages, we should say, prisoners of war, escaping and waving a white rag or something like that, and still getting shot by the IDF. And another standing ovation. Everyone's standing up for his props that he brought.
He dispatched 2 aircraft carriers to the Middle East to deter a wider war. And he came to Israel to stand with us during our darkest hour, a visit that will never...
There was zero danger of a wider war. There was zero danger. You sent your military over there to provoke a wider war. This is a complete reversal of reality. No one was threatening a wider war, except you.
Forgotten.
And that's what you mean when you begin by talking about Iran and talking about we need to stand together because then we win and they lose. That's your whole concept. And that extends to this whole wider war idea.
My friends, for more than 9 months, Israel's soldiers have shown boundless courage.
What they allow.
With us to...
You have record numbers of people claiming to be mentally unstable, to have mental illness, psychological problems or whatever, just so that they can get out of having to serve. And you have them there. I saw a report where the IDF in Gaza won't follow orders unless you give them cigarettes.
Oh wow.
Unless you tip them, unless you give them some kind of a tip or a bonus or something, then they'll follow orders. Otherwise, they're not even inclined to follow orders. Not to mention in terms of courage.
Yeah.
What courage? You're bombing from the sky.
Yeah.
Where's the courage in that?
Remote control.
They have drones, helicopters. Where's the courage?
Is an officer in the Israeli paratroopers. His family immigrated to Israel from Ethiopia. In the early hours of October 7th, Abichail heard the news of Hamas's bloody rampage. He put on his uniform, grabbed his rifle, but he didn't have a car. So he ran 8 miles to the front lines of Gaza to defend his people.
Ethiopian.
Yeah. Expected.
See, and he put this guy because he knows that I would make a joke like that. Because of the stereotype.
Yeah.
The whole thing is based on this stereotype. First of all, I'm going to put a so-called black Israeli from Ethiopia for the diversity that the Americans like.
Right.
And then I'm going to make a reference to the fact that they're good runners. That they're marathoners. Because of the stereotype. They're so, crass.
You heard that right? He ran 8 miles.
I mean, is that because he couldn't get a taxi? Because no Israeli would pick him up? No, he
Yeah.
couldn't.
He ran 8 miles though.
Nobody would pick him up. He's in the IDF, right? He's in the army.
He bought his
He
uniform.
put on his uniform. You couldn't call your officer or something to pick you up.
Yeah.
Nobody was interested.
Speaks badly of your countrymen.
And you couldn't get a taxi to stop for you.
Yeah.
Right next to
You
Abichail.
won't have any better luck
This
in
is
Washington.
Master Sergeant
It's about 15 minutes
is
of
an
props.
officer in the tank corps. And he was wounded in battle.
At least it's not. It's just like the Israeli ambassador to the UN. They always have to bring props. This time, instead of a paper shredder, it's
People.
yeah,
The
mannequins.
He lost his right arm and the vision in his left eye. He's recovering, and incredibly, within a short time, Asa will soon return to active duty as a commander of a tank company.
Wow. So that's how bad your recruiting is going. You have to put a guy as a commander who's got one eye and one arm. That's how bad it's getting. That's how bad it's gotten.
Everyone's leaving.
You're running out of full-bodied people.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Okay. The left eye doesn't know what the right hand is doing. I guess he still has too many eyes and too many arms. He wants to go back.
Ladies and gentlemen, the men and women of the IDF come from every corner of Israeli society. Every
And
ethnicity,
apparently every corner of the globe as well.
Yeah.
every creed. He was killed when a booby-trapped mine exploded in a tunnel shaft right next to a mosque. At his son's funeral, Yechiel said this: "If the state of Israel had not been established after the Holocaust, the image engraved in our collective memory would have been the photograph of that helpless Jewish boy in the Warsaw Ghetto holding his hands up in the air with Nazi rifles pointed at him. But because of the birth of Israel," Yechiel continued, "because of the courage of soldiers like my son Moshe, the Jewish people are no longer helpless in the face of our enemies."
See, with or without the creation of Israel, or let's just put it this way, without the creation of Israel, you could have gone to Palestine.
Yeah. And being safe.
The creation of Israel was after there had already been Jewish immigration anyway. Zionists, first there were already Jews there anyway, and then there was Jewish immigration, and then there was Zionist immigration, which then became Zionist occupation, Zionist colonization, and then you had the creation of the State of Israel. If you hadn't have done those last two steps, you would have been safe. And you just are talking about like being safe from your enemies. Well, he died. Your boy died. So where's the safety? He would have been safe if people would have gone over there properly, like guests, and acted appropriately and gotten along with the people, the same way that the Jews who were already there did, and who you fought when you came, who the Zionists themselves fought and persecuted when they got there, persecuted the Jews themselves who were already there,
The ones who were actually.
who had actually stayed there and had been there, that the Muslims let come back there and had stayed there for decades, if not for centuries. You could have that could have all been the same for you. You could have gone over there and just been guests and respected the society as it was, and then you would have been safe, and your boy would be alive. And going back to what he said in the beginning about when we stand together, we win, they lose. And now you're saying that because of the creation of the State of Israel, we're safe against our enemies. Then why do you need to stand with America? Why do you need America to stand with you? So it's not actually Israel that's making you safe. It's America.
Yeah.
This is what you're saying, actually, what you're saying. If you put the whole speech in context and tie it together, no, what you just said and what that man just said in the funeral of his son is a lie. It's not making you safe, and you're not safe against your enemies, and you can't fight your enemies without America standing with you.
Providing you with.
Which just means it's an incredibly bad idea. You've started something that can't sustain itself. That doesn't even have the power, the actual power, or the courage to enforce its own viciousness without being sponsored by the United States.
The parents, they find the secret latch to the hidden attic, and then they murder the babies. These protesters.
Okay, how do you know that? I mean, that's a nice, very Nazi-esque story.
Yeah.
With the attic and hiding in the attic and all of that.
All the details,
but they came in and murdered the family. So who witnessed them?
Putting the babies in the attic. And,
Yeah, where'd you get this?
yeah, is there a survivor?
Yeah, yeah.
Apparently no survivors.
Was it they had CCTV cameras? If so, I'd like to see the footage. I'd like to see footage of almost anything, any of the claims that you've made, ever. I mean, you're burning the American flag. All of you in that hall are burning the American flag on what it supposedly is supposed to stand for. Everything that is that you tell people that it stands for, you're burning it right now. and you're going to pretend that you're offended if someone actually burns it with fire when you're burning it with your own actions. This is another example of where it's a problem when you believe your own propaganda. Because you've been believing, the West, America, and Israel has been believing the propaganda that they've made for years and years and years, that the Saudis and the Iranians are like dogs and cats, and they just hate each other by nature. They're just natural enemies, and that the Saudis will ally with anyone against Iran, including with Israel, and that they have a common interest, they have a common enemy, and so. But then the Saudis and the Iranians made a deal. They have a rapprochement. They have, and they're doing more every time. There's news comes out, every week about a new deal and a new escalation or advancement of their ties. The record stopped playing.
Yeah.
The record stopped playing, and you're still trying to beat the tune out when the record player stopped already.
They call Israel a colonialist state. Don't they know that the land of Israel is where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob prayed, where Isaiah and Jeremiah prayed?
What's that got to do with you?
Yeah.
Solomon ruled.
What's that got to do with you?
Yeah.
No, what they know is that people supposedly who were killed on October 7th came from 41 different countries, and you just told them. So how is that not colonialism?
Yeah. Seriously.
4,000 years, the land of Israel has been the homeland of the Jewish people.
Meanwhile, you're from Philadelphia.
Couldn't bring themselves to condemn the calls for the genocide of Jews.
Huh.
Remember what they said? They said, it depends on the context.
Who called for genocide of the Jews? What he means is,
the world's
when
oldest
anyone
secret.
says river to the sea.
For
Yeah.
centuries, the massacre of Jews was always preceded by wild accusations. We were accused of everything from poisoning wells, to spreading plagues, to using the blood of slaughtered children to bake Passover matzahs.
All by the West, by the
I was going to say,
All this was-
this was all by the ancestors of the people you're talking to now.
Yeah, all of your buddies right now.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
of those people who are giving you a standing ovation now,
The entire lineage.
their ancestors did all of that.
Dude.
Monstrous anti-Semitic lies led to persecution, mass
And,
murder.
and by the way, they did all of that in the countries where you came from.
Yeah.
In the countries where your ancestors were, their ancestors did it to them.
Yeah.
Not in Palestine. That didn't happen in Palestine, which is supposed to be your home,
Yeah. Or
that you were in for 4,000 years. But
Right.
somehow all of these things happened in Europe.
The outrageous slanders that paint Israel as racist and genocidal are meant to delegitimize Israel, to demonize the Jewish state, and to demonize Jews everywhere.
I mean, it's not really fair. Just being racist, supremacist, and genocidal shouldn't delegitimize you. I mean, be fair. We should be able to do those things. But for some reason, they say those things for the purpose of delegitimizing us.
it's not fair.
Yeah, we shouldn't be delegitimized by being racist, supremacists, Jewish supremacists, and genocidal maniacs.
And no wonder we've witnessed an appalling rise of anti-Semitism in America and around the world.
Oh, you've
friends,
seen nothing. You haven't seen anything yet.
Whenever and wherever we see the scourge of anti-Semitism, we must unequivocally condemn it and resolutely fight it.
But why though? But why? Why is there anti-Semitism? Like really,
This is a question, yeah.
This is a question. No. I don't mean that. I don't mean like why is there anti-Semitism? I mean why is there anti-Semitism in a place where there's not even supposed to be Jews? You're saying that you all have to be there.
Right.
For
And
4,000 years, that was your home.
Right.
And yet everywhere outside of there, you experience anti-Semitism. So maybe you shouldn't be there. And that's what their position is. That's actually what their position is. That's the Zionist position. That's the Christian Zionist position. That's the European position. That's basically the European Christian and non-Christian European Westerner position, that you're not supposed to be here anyway, and we'll let you know that you're not supposed to be here by being anti-Semitic to you, by being anti-Jewish, hateful to you and so on. So why is it anyone's responsibility when you or yourself are claiming that you're supposed to be in Palestine, you're supposed to be there, that's your 4,000-year-old home?
Yet.
So why is it anyone's? You don't go into a neighborhood that doesn't want you. But the problem is that you turn the neighborhood that welcomed you into a neighborhood that doesn't want you. You know? What are you doing in the West in the first place? If you say that that's not where you belong, and they say that's not where you belong. But because when you came to Palestine, you came to the Arab world, you came in such a way.
Yeah,
you came in a Western way.
Yeah.
You came the way that the Western colonizers come. That now you're not welcome there. Because you are racist, genocidal maniacs. That's the reason. In the West, they hate you because you're Jew.
But
in Palestine, they hate you because you're racist, genocidal maniacs. Because you're doing nothing but copy the people that you're trying to escape from.
Yeah.
You're trying to be like the people that did that. Yeah, because you admire them, actually. Because you love power. I mean, why were the Jews in Germany to begin with? If Palestine was your home, why were the Jews in Germany to begin with?
They were, the Crusaders kicked them out, right? I mean...
Yeah, but we let them back.
Yeah, that's true.
The Muslims never kicked them out, ever.
Yeah.
You were always welcome. So what were you doing in Germany and Poland and all of these places to start with? You forgot that was your home? Even though you tell us all the time that you every time next year in Jerusalem, next year in Jerusalem. Well, why not this year? You could have gone back at any time. No one stopped you. We didn't stop you ever. The Muslims never stopped you from being there. So why are you mad? If you didn't think that you belonged in a place, and then they let you know that they agreed with you that you don't belong there, so what were you doing there? And again, why are there Jews from 41 different countries? Aren't you all supposed to be in Israel?
Divided loyalties.
I mean, this is the real paradox that they can't really reconcile. There's no way for them to reconcile this paradox. That they want Jews to be safe everywhere in the world, while saying that Jews aren't safe anywhere in the world. You know, they want now America to be concerned about anti-Semitism and Europe to be concerned about anti-Semitism because we have to keep the Jews safe in your lands where you say that they don't belong. And your whole basis for Israel is that Jews aren't safe anywhere. So why now? So if we resolve anti-Semitism all around the world, and I don't know how much more you can resolve anti-Semitism than it is now with the privileged status that Jews have in the West, which is a fact. I mean, I'm not talking not a conspiracy theory. They control everything, but just statistically, according to economics and financially, they are in a good position, a better position than any other minority group. I don't know how much more you need to save them or protect them from anti-Semitism than you already have. But if we were to make it even better for you everywhere else, then will you say that you don't need to be there anymore in Palestine? You don't want to be safe anywhere in the world because that's your whole basis for saying that you have to be there. You have to have a so-called Jewish homeland because you're not safe anywhere else in the world. Even though you're standing right now in the Congress of the so-called most powerful country in the world and everyone keeps standing up and getting off of their seats to applaud for you. How much,
Applaud for you to continue.
Do you feel unsafe right now? With everyone standing up and applauding for you? Are you unsafe? Are they anti-Semites as well? Is that what everyone has to do to prove that they're not an anti-Semite, is just give you endless standing ovations for every mediocre, stupid lie that you tell?
Israel has enabled more than 40,000 aid trucks to enter Gaza. That's 500,000 tons of food. And that's more than 3,000 calories for every man, woman, and child in Gaza. if there are Palestinians in Gaza,
Who provided it?
Good question.
And why don't you just open up Erez checkpoint and let them in? That's my question. That's been my question. Why do you always focus on Rafah, on what is going to happen to the Palestinian refugees? Let them in. That's what you're supposed to do. In fact, that's what you're legally obligated to do.
Yeah.
As the occupying power, you must provide shelter for them. You have to provide safe haven for them. You have to provide refuge for them. That's actually your legal responsibility to do that. You're supposed to open up Erez checkpoint and let all of the people in Gaza come flooding into Israel for safety. If you want to bomb Gaza, then you're supposed to let them in to stay in Israel. But you don't want to let them back in, because that's what you'd be doing, is letting them back in. Still got like 20 minutes.
Oh no.
It's probably about 15 minutes, because there's going to be all the standing ovations.
in 1979, it stormed the American embassy. It held scores of Americans hostage for 444 days.
Wow.
You don't have anything more recent?
In Iraq, they supplied explosives to maim and kill thousands of American soldiers.
And what were they doing there?
We also help keep American boots. We help keep Americans' boots off the ground while protecting our shared interests in the Middle East.
Well, America's not interested, I don't think, anymore in having their boots on the ground or having a need for having their boots on the ground in the Middle East. And you keep giving them reasons for there to be a need for American boots to be on the ground in the Middle East. And this is why you're not able to update and upgrade your understanding of the world, because you're stuck in this Zionist propaganda that was only relevant and only convincing and only useful 20, 30 years ago. It doesn't work anymore. No one is interested in, having boots on the ground. First of all, it's a question. Why does America think that it has interests outside of its own borders? It shouldn't even have interests outside of its own borders. No other country does. Other countries know that their interests are within their borders. But America, the way that they operate, as we know anyway, they think that their interests are everywhere in the world. So they think that they have a right to put their boots on the ground, on other people's ground, to protect their interests. And by their interests, what they mean is those other people's resources. They want to put their boots on other people's ground so that they can get other people's resources, because that's in their interest. That's what that means. But if there's a way to get access and to benefit from the resources of other people that doesn't require a military justification, a colonizer justification for occupying and invading and destabilizing another country, then the OCGFC, in my opinion, the OCGFC would prefer that approach to the Middle East. And they're able to make deals now with the states in the region that doesn't require this kind of aggression, this kind of hostile approach that you've based your whole political career on, and you've based your whole so-called state on. And the justifications that you're giving now, you're trying to remind the Congress, you're trying to remind the American power structure of Israel's traditional role. But that traditional role has become obsolete, and this is your whole problem. This is why now you're facing an arrest warrant and why you're going to go to jail.
And help prevent a broader war in the Middle East. In World War II,
You just said that when you're fighting Hezbollah, you're fighting Iran. When you're fighting the Houthis, you're fighting Iran. When you're fighting Hamas, you're fighting Iran. So you're the one who wants to export your war to Iran. You said that Hezbollah says that fighting you means that they're fighting America, which just means that they see you as an American colonialist project. But you're saying now that ultimately your ultimate goal is to fight against Iran. You're the one who wants to escalate and to spread and expand the war in the region. You're the one. You're saying that your ultimate target is Iran.
give us the tools faster and will finish the job faster.
If you don't have the tools, why'd you get into the fight? If you don't have the tools, again, this goes back to what he said earlier, saying that the establishment of the Jewish state made the Jewish people safe. If that was the case, then you wouldn't have to ask anyone for any tools. You wouldn't have to ask America to give you weapons. How many more weapons do you bloody need? They've been giving you more weapons than they give to anybody else. But still, somehow, it's not enough. I mean, it really brings up the question, what are you really doing with the money?
The war in Gaza could end tomorrow if Hamas surrenders, disarms, and returns all the hostages.
It could also end tomorrow if you end the occupation.
We must retain overriding security control there to prevent the resurgence of terror, to ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel.
Meaning a continuation of occupation. See, he thinks that I think this is his thinking. He's still thinking in the old mindset that the Saudis and the Iranians can't get along, and that they will make peace and normalization with Israel on the basis of them having a shared common enemy, which is Iran. He's not ignorant of the fact that the Saudis and the Iranians have détente and have restored their diplomatic relations and their trade relations and so on. He's not ignorant of that. But he thinks that by provoking a war with Iran, that will make Iran act aggressively and in a way that will punish the Saudis and that will harm the Saudis, because obviously if Iran is attacked, then they're going to attack any U.S. Interests in the Khalij, in the Gulf. And that will obviously put the Saudis and the Gulf, the UAE, Qatar, all of those countries in danger, which will then undermine and completely demolish any relationship that they have built between Iran and Saudi Arabia. If they can provoke a war with Iran, then Iran will lash out at who it can lash out at, and their so-called proxies in Iraq, in Lebanon, and in Yemen will lash out at U.S. interests in the Gulf, which puts all of the Gulf countries as targets, because that's where the U.S. interests are. And then they will close off the Strait of Hormuz and so forth, and this is against the interests of the Saudis, against the interests of everyone in the Khalij. So this provokes a battle, and it provokes an animosity that is now being resolved. There's the animosity between the Saudis and Iran is being resolved, particularly within the organization of BRICS, and he wants to break that. He wants to actually break the détente and the understanding, the reconciliation between Iran and Saudi Arabia, so that it can motivate Saudi Arabia to normalize with Israel, without demanding a Palestinian state, without the conditions that they have been demanding so far. And he thinks that this is his vision, as he said. This is his vision, is then creating an us and versus them dichotomy within the Middle East, which is not the vision that Saudi Arabia has. It's not the vision that BRICS has. It's going to be a very hard sell to say that we have to now form an alliance of Middle Eastern countries, of Gulf countries, of Arab countries. We have to form an alliance against Iran when Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE, the three most important Arab countries in the region, are in an organization called BRICS together with Iran. So this is also a project, his project also is a project for breaking BRICS. That's his vision for the Middle East, which translates, all of that translates to a continuation of American hegemony in the Middle East.
I think we should call it the Abraham Alliance. I want to thank President Trump for his leadership in brokering the historic Abraham Accords.
But what you don't what I think you didn't understand Trump was doing when they brokered the Abraham Accords was that he's trying to cut you loose.
Through thick and thin, in good times and in bad, Israel will always be your loyal friend and your steadfast partner. On behalf of the people
This is like
of Israel,
literally
I came here today
renewal
to
of
say
wedding vows.
thank you, America.
As I
Thank you
said
for your
before,
support and solidarity.
it's a renewal of
Thank you
vows
for
that
standing in
is a
Israel
prelude
with
to
Israel
divorce.
in our- Together we shall defend our common civilization. Together we shall secure a brilliant future for both our nations.
How are you going to talk about your common civilization in the same speech where you talked about what their civilization did to your people for centuries? But that's your common civilization.